We are live on Facebook on our intro screen. And oh, we are live on YouTube. I see our faces. Hello, faces. I think hello faces is the best kind of intro to a podcast. Yes, we are on it. That's me. Hello, everybody. Episode. Yes, sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt. I ruined the whole intro. My bad. I'm sorry. Not too bad. I'm so tired lately, but that's part of life. But I'm okay. I'm okay. How about you? I had an anecdote, but I forgot it. I was like, "Oh man, I'll talk about that on the podcast tonight," and then I completely forgot what it was. Um, it was amazing. We went to see farm animals this weekend, so that was interesting. Yeah, we went to the agriculture museum, and yeah, it's always a fun outing. The kids like to see the gigantic, impressive animals that are there. Cows are huge, man. Like every time I see one, and pigs, I always forget how big pigs are. It's crazy. Yeah. And my understanding is that there are some breeds of pigs that are smaller, just not the ones that are bred in our area, at least, and not wild pigs either. Those are freaking gigantic too. But oh yeah, boars, like they'll bore a hole within your stomach. Oh, I did it. I didn't really like believe it halfway through, but it's okay. I went with it anyways. How about you? Oh, we didn't even game last episode. We were too tired. Hmm. Yeah, you sent me some pictures. Yeah, that's good. That is good stuff. I haven't done much in terms of creative stuff except for some editing a bit um, in a long time. But yeah, no, it's cool that you got back into that. That's it's always fun. Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Like especially depending on the game itself, there are some games that are easier to sneak in a game here and there, and some that take a bit more setup or have a bit more of a like of a grind to it in the sense that like I have issues with games lately that you need to play a certain amount of time to feel like you're progressing at any point, you know? Just 'cause I don't have the time. But yeah, well, I hear it. Let me see. Oh no, you are mute on YouTube.
Well, okay, now I've fixed it, but yeah, I'll fix it in post.
Yeah, I mean, I've got what you said, and what's funny is that I had I forgot to unmute my mic on my stream, so on Facebook I was mute, and on YouTube you were mute.
We're great at this, man.
We're awesome at this. We should do this for a living.
Yeah. Quit my day job.
Oh boy.
All right, well,
Maybe maybe we'll be smarter about it one day. I'm still looking for the dashboard on Facebook though, if I'm honest. I have no idea how this works.
it's fine.
I'm trying to see like if people commented. I have no clue whatsoever, but I guess it's all good.
Yeah,
Uh,
still some of the mystique that's not good. That's not gone.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, you
Well,
want
that's
to?
half the fun is learning. Yeah, sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, no, no. Actually, I'll give it back to you. Actually, do you want to introduce meat of today's podcast?
Yes. So today the subject that we agreed upon is I don't know exactly how to title it, so I'm going to title it identity. Um, and it's not identity in the sense, um, well, I guess it kind of can be. Um, I grew up thinking, for some reason, I have no idea where this came from, but thinking that you needed to have some kind of identity to have some kind of value. And that identity could be a lot of things, but I've always had um, performance anxiety in the sense that I needed to be good at whatever I was trying to do. And that often led to frustration where if I wasn't good immediately, then I quit because I wasn't good. Screw it, you know. Um, but it through different reflection, yeah, through different reflections and different thought processes here and there, I started wondering what my identity was. What was I? Was I more of a gamer? More of in high school, I was a bit more of a nerd, but at the same time, I wasn't. Um, was I more like I always enjoyed sports, so did I identify more like with the jocks, or was that my identity? But I wasn't exploiting it to the full extent because I wasn't that great at sports. It was always a very confusing thing because I always had so many hobbies, and a lot of people get their identification through their hobbies. Others get it through their jobs, right? If people say, "What do you do in life?" the first thing you often think about is work. So that's what some people identify with the most. And I was like that for a while, but without having a job that I was proud to identify with. I was always like little jobs, or I didn't feel like I had achieved much in life yet. So it was never an identity that I was proud of. And so, what led me to think about this subject for this podcast is the question: do you need a clear identity, or is it okay to be kind of a bit spread out? So, I want to hear your thoughts on that before I elaborate a bit more.
Well, it's
And okay is a very broad term, right? What I mean is more for you personally, because it's easy to say I need an identity, but maybe somebody else doesn't, and that's super valid and probably the truest statement that we could say today. But for you, do you feel like you need a specific identity to be happy and to feel valid?
Well, you see, that's an interesting question because I think it's and you said that stemmed from your childhood, at least like high school to some degree. And like I
Some
think
degree. I don't feel like I thought about it that much back then. I think I felt it more than I thought about it. Something that I identified a bit later, though.
because like that's a natural like sentiment to have as a human. Like you have this desire to stand out and like have, and one of the ways to stand out is to have a clear branding. So like your as you said, like the core identity. So you're the jock, you're the sports guy, you're the artiste, you're the goth or whatever. uh but really, like that's eventually when you grow older, you're, and I mean, not necessarily, but at least when once you grow wiser, you realize like you don't really need that, like, because your identity is not for other people to identify you for who you are. It's for you to understand yourself and what uh like, and what you want, basically. So like your identity is only there for you to know yourself better and live your life the way you actually want to be, and not the way society wants you to. um be that as it may, like I do understand, especially since like yeah, for the longest time, like I didn't either have a job that uh really felt like I could identify with. um I mean, nowadays I can, and I'm super happy to work in the human rights sector. That's like something super meaningful for me. I like it, and like that's part of my identity. Uh, but yeah, you before that, like, I mean, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, my fucking personality is working at fucking Rona, or like, yeah,
But for some people it could,
yeah,
because some people
totally,
would be like super happy being in the construction crew, and being in that sector and be super proud at working with Rona. You were never much of a like happy handyman, I guess.
no,
But yeah, it could be for some people. That
yeah,
that's what I think is interesting sometimes.
yeah, totally,
The one of the things that led to that reflection for me um was as soon as I got halfway through my bachelor's degree, I kind of lost track of what I wanted to do with my life, and that's been a question ever since. So going on almost 10 years now. Actually going on more than 10 years now. Anyways,
yeah. That's a question
uh,
that hits a lot of people that are doing a bachelor in arts. Halfway through, you're like, oh fuck, what am I doing?
well, me it hit me when I tried teaching and hated it. I was like, oh crap, that's that's what I was going for, but
Right.
it sucks. So what do I do now? um, but yeah, but for me, my where I would get my identity was in my work. So when I felt good in whatever I was doing for work, then I was happy with that identity. But I'm never comfortable in one spot for a very long time. I like to flip around. But that didn't make sense for the identity that I was going for. So it got me questioning on what my identity was, and it got me in very deep rabbit holes that I won't get into today. Um, but there's one word that kind of changed um, my whole perception on the question, and it's when one of my managers said that they really appreciated having me on the team because I was very what's the word? I only have the French word in mind right now, but I completely lost the word. Anyways, she called me a generalist. And for all my life, I was thriving to be a specialist in something, but I had no idea what, because whatever I tried, I wasn't that great at it. But I was always like good. I was just never great. And then she called me a generalist, and it was like, that's an interesting concept. Hold on a minute. So,
Wait,
yeah,
is
so
that your personality now? You're the guy.
I'm the guy who can do pretty much whatever, not amazingly, but I'll do it right. And I'm kind of okay with that, but it's hard to find um and it makes sense. Like I was gonna say, it's hard to find a job as a generalist, which is true because everybody's looking for specialists, not much for generalist. A generalist is more useful when you're a specialist in something, but you're also good in a bunch of other stuff, and that's not the same thing. That's just adding pressure. Uh, but where was I going with this? Anyways, yeah. So that's a word that kind of oh, that's what I was gonna say. It kind of makes sense with my hobbies too, because I'm kind of all over the place. I don't have a hobby that we had the question last week where one of the questions was what's our favorite hobby, and I had to think long and hard, and even now a few days later, I'm not convinced that my answer was the actual right answer. You know, it's like I have so many hobbies that I like that I'll have phases where one of them I prefer to the others, and then I'll switch for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and I'll like one of the other ones better. And I'll never be amazing at any of them, but I'll always enjoy all of them. So it kind of fits with that too, the whole generalist tag, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, really, like I like I said, like it's totally natural to uh ask yourself these questions, but then like it's also important to understand that like you don't actually need to have like a brand, a clear brand. You don't need to be identifiable instantly by people. You just need to be you, right? So you don't need to produce like stuff to be of worth, you know? Like that your talent and stuff in certain fields does not equal your worth as a human being. You can be like a lot of people are just content doing like their 9 to 5, going back to watch TV, and they're perfectly happy in their lives. Like, and they don't have a clear brand, they don't have a clear identity. Like, and they're happy as much as like as much as they can tell. So yeah, just don't worry about it, man.
You brought up something interesting that was also part of my many reflections on the subject over the years, and that's you said you just have to be you, and um, that's something that I struggled with, and that I still struggle with, like subconsciously, but that um, I now have a thought that I go to get myself out of that spiral, and what I mean by that is that for the longest time, like when I was saying on my quest for identity, I had an identity in mind that I wanted, and I was going for that, and I was pushing for that. But if you look at it the other way around, if you start by being yourself, your identity will appear. Whatever your identity is meant to be at the time will show up, because that's what if you let yourself go through, if you let yourself appear, then that's you, right? And it's clear, it's easy to spot, it's not fake, so it's even better that way. And the other thing that came to mind when you were speaking is it's okay if your identity changes. Like
Yeah, totally.
we've all had various types of phases throughout our childhood, throughout our high school, throughout our adulthood, where we were like completely fanatics about one thing, and this was all that was important in life, and then the next year, forget it exists. And that's just normal. That's just taste. They say that people's personality change drastically every 7 years or anything like or something like that. So when
Interesting.
you're in your early 30s like I am, I'm on my eighth personality. I'm going into my eighth personality pretty soon. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
oh, that's not that's false. I'm right on my fourth. Sorry, I miscalculated that.
I mean, it's totally normal, right? You because like the your life situation changes, your brain
Priorities.
changes. At least like until like the like early 20s, like your brain is still not set.
Hmm.
Like that that's important to know. Like you're not fully developed until like quite late because human brains are complex, man. It it takes a while to develop fully. And then yeah, you add like just experience, wisdom, just uh baggage. You discover stuff about yourself. You evolve. Yeah, you like change homes, you change friends, you change jobs, and then like there are these different phases of life. Like if you get married or just have a significant other, or just like uh, get into your own groove. You get kids, you get a house. Like your life changes. Like the life you lead right now is completely different than what you would have like even just like a few years ago. So like it's totally normal that you as well evolve with your life that's evolving.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And I had to deal with uh confront that idea because like just like you, like I had a like my identity was to create stuff. Like I love writing stories, I love playing stories. I love so like I was defined by my hobbies. Like I was defined by writing. I was defined by working on miniatures, even like gaming to some extent. Like I need to like not necessarily escape because like I feel like that's not quite the right word, but like I just need to create something else than just my everyday life. Like I'm always thinking about world building stuff. I always think about stories I want to tell. And like for the first 2 years of my first kid's life, like that was really hard to um balance like uh this new reality that I didn't have as much time or energy to dedicate to these hobbies. And
Yeah, for
with
sure.
with what that brought is essentially like this identity crisis that's like, am I still me or am I just dad? You know? So for a long time I had a hard time to uh reconcile who I like, the role I had and the person I thought I was. And just like, and I don't
Not
know,
only
man.
thought that you were, but that you were for many years before, like you mentioned, your reality changed, right? Your priorities had to change, and then you had to adjust, and that's where it gets hard, right? It's
Yeah.
when like
And
you wanted that child, obviously, and you love that child more than anything, but it's still it's a huge adjustment to your whole life and your whole routine.
yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, just like, I don't know, man. Like, I didn't do much to, but I guess eventually I just worked it out. And there, like, you realize, like, I love my kids, so I don't mind. And then
Yeah.
eventually, like, I got better also at balancing just life. The kids eventually get more independent, so like it's just like it's mostly a phase initially. And like yeah, nowadays, I mean, if we're doing this channel on YouTube, doing some more stuff, we're playing tabletop RPGs again. So like especially like this year and the year before that, like so 2020 and 2021, like I was finally able to get back into who I felt I was, reconciling who I not just like who I used to be, but like the person I wanted to be with the person I am and that I needed to be as well. So like uh
Balancing wants and needs and responsibilities, it's an eternal puzzle for sure.
yeah. So and we're probably gonna touch that upon like balancing and finding time at a later date. But yeah, that just yeah, you change, and sometimes it's gonna be hard because like you're gonna have identity crisis. Like that's why we have like those midlife crises, because like suddenly we have these big uh we realize there's like chunks of our lives that are like behind us now, and
Yeah.
like automatically you think about like what you've done, what you're leaving behind, and then like that causes panic sometimes because like you don't know, you don't have a clear answer. And that's honestly like really the reality is like it's totally fine to not have the answer. It's fine to just like wing it. It's fine to find out. It's like part of the fun is just like discovering who you are as well. And yeah, that's just part of the journey.
Yeah, and I I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but where I struggle a lot is that I know that it's fine, and I know that it takes time to figure all of these things out. Where I struggle is I don't like that it takes time, and I don't like that it's hard, and I have issues accepting it sometimes. That's something I'm working through, but it is absolutely fine, and it's absolutely normal. And like you described, your priority, whoa, that was a weird word. Your priorities will will change over time, and your responsibilities will change over time, uh, and but there's always ways to um, keep those portions of yourself that are important to you, and to keep those needs that you have to meet them. Um, Sometimes it takes being a little bit creative, but there's always a way to work around it and to find the time. Sometimes it doesn't seem like it though. Sometimes it seems, and we'll probably touch upon that more when we do touch that as an official subject. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge to accept and then to act upon it. And those are two very different things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like it's it's just cool, man, to discover who you are, discover new things, just go about your life, and just you need to enjoy it. Like because like if you fast forward like to knowing it all, and like you're gonna be like 80 years old, like
Bored.
yeah, exactly, man. Like at that age, like the only mystery left is how you die.
And at that point, I mean, what do you have to look forward to except for that, right? I mean,
So yeah, man, just appreciate
just to
it.
bring it just to bring it back to identity real quick before we pull to an end. I'm curious because we kind of got separated at the end of elementary school. We kept in touch and all that, but we didn't go to the same high schools and all that. So I'm curious, like, did you have a clear identity, a clear sense of self in high school? Like, did you know where you were and why you were there?
High school was hard, man. Like it just it's not high school is not kind to
You
people that
were
are different.
Yeah, you were in a private high school,
Yeah,
but a regular program in that high school, or did you have like a concentration?
no regular.
Okay.
I was in
Were there
a
concentrations at your school?
I think that was just like sports.
Okay.
Because yeah, my school was not it was technically private in that it costed a lot of money.
Okay.
But it was the school that people went to when they were not accepted to the actual good private school.
Oh, okay.
You know, like I mean, there's Saint Alexandre, which is like the real good private school in the area, and then you had
Yeah.
Nouvelle Frontière, which is the American rejects. You know, like
And is that how the students perceive themselves?
uh, not really, because the problem is like what you would mostly get at that school was people that didn't have the capacity to uh necessarily succeed in a academic environment, but um had the entitlement and money to still like brute force it.
Hmm.
So essentially, yeah, what you had like essentially was a like not really prep school because like I'll be real, most of these guys are not like I don't think they had like superior studies afterwards, but yeah, you had that feel of like old money. It's like most of the people there they just like they were too rich to go to public school, but not good enough at school to actually go to the good private. So that's where I ended up for some reason. Um,
Interesting dynamic.
yeah, it's so what that mean? I mean, I doubt it was better at any other school, but it was just like a very hard environment, especially because like my family is not rich, so I wasn't part of that 1% clique.
Mm.
Um, and I mean, also, I don't look like it because I'm Caucasian, but I'm I'm a son of an immigrant, so and Quebec is the way it is. So that was fun sometimes to be told to go back to my country, even though I'm Canadian. But
Wow.
yeah,
That always baffles me, people that have that kind of mentality just because I don't, right? So it just is like, especially like you said, like you were born here, your mother was born here. Um, for the longest time, I thought your father was too. I mean, it's
he
not like
acts that way at least. Yeah,
it's just weird uh, to be told that when you're like, well, I mean, it's weird to be told that like no matter what the context, right? Because it's just a dumb thing to say, but it's even weirder in my mind when there's no clear sign that you have another country to go to, you know?
yeah, no, and like so, and that came with like ridicule for my last name, ridicule for a lot of stuff, ridicule for like reading books, ridicule for the music I like, uh, at least not the way I dress because we had uniforms, but I mean, and even then, like you still see like the people that get to have like the whole collection that like they all have a way of wearing it, whereas like you're still wearing the same t-shirts as like 4 years ago because you don't have the money to buy new uniforms every year. Uh,
Yeah, because those uniform I've never been to any kind of private school, but those uniforms are expensive
they
from
are
what I
very
know.
expensive, yes. So yeah, what that ended up doing was that like I didn't have an identity, a real identity in high school, and by high school I mean like middle school as well. Like in Quebec, it's called secondaire, which is like the equivalent of like 7th grade to 12th grade.
Yeah, basically from 13 to 16, 17 years old, like
Yeah,
12 to 17 years old, more or
so
less.
that's what I mean by high school. Like for this whole time, I mean that was the same for in elementary school really, but like for just the longest time my identity was a fake one because I would
Mm.
hide who I am. I
Yeah.
didn't share like at one point I just decided to fuck it, like starting to wear the one ring on like on my neck, and even like so I was called like Frodo for the last year of high school for like the whole time, um just because I
That's not
dared.
an insult.
Yeah, I mean like so
They meant it as one, but
it's such a like a low hanging fruit, man, like so yeah, so yeah, for the longest time, like it's not until like college that I actually started to embrace who I was, embrace what I liked, being proud of like being a nerd because at that point you're surrounded by them, like everyone that's doing like everyone that's studying history at like by like the second year is a nerd, like they're not that the people that
chances
actually
are at least.
so at that point like you get to be who you want to be because there's no judgment, there's no nothing. And colleges, at least in Can, like the one we went to, I think maybe the college experience in like the United States or some of the countries might be different, but like college was very laid back, at least in
Yeah.
my experience. So like there was no judgment anymore. You could be who you want to be, like. And like Ottawa's weird, man. Like there are a lot of weird people, especially downtown. So like around campus, you never judged for anything because you're used to see a lot of shit just like from the bus to your class. So it
No,
was it
I
was
didn't tell
great.
you. I didn't tell you, but like I recently started a job at the university, right? So I dove right back into that small little world that is university and college and all that, but from a different perspective because I haven't been there in 10 years. But it was so interesting to see um because even because people are so open to being their weirdest self, like in the most positive way possible. And I saw people going to class like full on cosplay, which was
Oh
like
shit, really?
impressive. Yeah, yeah, like they were hanging out campus. I saw three separate groups that had at least one person that was fully dressed in some kind of anime type cosplay. I didn't know the characters, unfortunately, but
Was there
like
an event or that's
that
just like you decide to be that today and that's it?
no, today that was their garms.
That's
Like they
amazing.
decided that, yeah, I was super impressed by the guts for that.
Remember Cave
And
Guy?
yes, oh, I had forgotten about Cave Guy.
That guy
Oh,
was
I
awesome.
admired that guy so much. I actually did
I think
a
about him
project
all
with
the
him in third
time.
year. Oh yeah, eh?
I
Oh,
like
Epic Hot Dog Guy's not there anymore, by the way. I haven't seen him yet, anyways.
I hope he's not dead, man. Like
Yeah, me too.
that guy was awesome. He made the
That was
best
a
hot
highlight
dogs.
of university. Oh, so good. The Polish sausage, it was delicious.
Yeah, that was great, man. But yeah, cloak guy.
Um,
He just wore
yeah,
a like old fashioned like.
instead of wearing a vest or a coat, it was just a cape, and it was a cool cape too. Like it had the what do you call it on the borders there. Um, it had like a dark red border that was just really luxurious and
I
nice.
like the trim. You mean?
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, it was a really cool cloak, and like cloaks need to make a comeback, man. Like
Oh man,
they're
please.
they're so like fashionable. They're beautiful. They're actually great because, dude, like, what's the best way of like protecting yourself from the elements than a literal blanket?
Yeah.
You're always in a blanket. Like I always want to be in a blanket. Like
Oh man,
imagine going through life in a blanket. That's amazing. So yeah,
it is.
that guy was great, man. He just didn't
That guy
care.
had all of my respect.
I respect
The
him.
other thing that I saw was a lot of cat ears, like people just wearing cat ears around campus,
That's
just
great.
regular clothes and then just cat ears. It struck me funny at first because I'm not used to seeing that. I'm used to being in a more standard environment, standard professional kind of thing. Uh, but to see those guys and girls and bees walking around fully proud of who they are and showing it off like that, I was impressed. I was happily impressed.
Yeah, that's still
Um,
Gen Z, right? Technically, I think
I believe so.
Gen Z is
I suck at generations,
they're
but
gonna
I think so.
like the younger, like I know like the tradition is for the old people to dislike like the youngsters, but and to some degree I think like for some reason like Gen Xers have been and boomers have been trying to like cause dissension between Gen Z and millennials. Like I admired the Gen Z so fucking much because like they don't care and
Yeah,
they're just doing their own thing. They're happy to be who they want to be. And like man, I remember like in high school like being bisexual was like unconceivable. And like
yeah,
now like people are just accepting, and I mean I get like there's probably still like bigots like that there's always going to be, but like
of course.
I mean, if I had lived in that kind of like open environment where you could actually like think about the possibilities of who you are in those formative years, like things that could have been like different in my life, and probably in yours, and just in a lot of people. Like, it's just nice to to see people at a younger age to be able to explore themselves and like who they want to be and who they are and their relation uh to themselves and with others, and see that, yeah, it's inspiring.
Yeah. And I think you used a good word there when you said explore, because it is an exploration of self. It is trying to see, is this me? And then you go for it, and that's what people call phases, right? Is you go for it, you explore it from top to bottom, and if it's you, then it sticks, and if it's not you, then it drifts off and leaves room for something else, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So and that's the best way to go.
I think so too. Well, I'm happy to hear that university is even weirder than it was. That makes me
Yeah,
very happy.
yeah, I'm looking forward to what else I'm gonna see. So I'm looking forward to opening my eyes a little bit more into that world, because that's a that to me that was an internet world until very recently.
And what I actually like, what I'm excited about is for these people to hit the the industry.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
job market.
because like, when we grew up, like I was told, like, tattoos, you're not gonna get a job if you get tattooed. And then
Yeah,
like I got in a like fairly uh not prestigious, but like, I mean, it's fairly formal environment, and then like
that's a good word.
all like almost everyone is fucking tattooed, like, and not just a little bit, so like
Yeah, yeah,
you've always
and they're not hidden under a turtleneck.
no, exactly, so like it's already started, so like I want to see like this next step of like talk you talk with like, yeah, I want to see a politician with cat ears.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want someone in Naruto
I
cosplay to run for the Prime Minister of Canada.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
That'd be great.
I don't foresee it happening anytime
Oh
soon,
no,
but
no, it's gonna
that
be
would be
it would be like a century, because like generations are so late. Like you don't get to these levels before like you're like 50 or something. So
yeah.
it won't be for a long time. But yeah, and just exciting to just like go to work in a meeting and like see weird stuff and like see
Seeing
weird
weird
being
stuff.
embraced.
Yeah, seeing weird stuff and seeing that nobody cares.
That's the
Like
best.
nobody's going like, "What's this guy doing?" Like everybody's just like, "Oh, hey, Bill," or whatever.
Yep.
That
Oh no,
that's
that's
the
the
part
best.
that I mean, for sure, these people that I'm describing at the university, I guarantee you they got comments, or they got weird looks, or whatever, and they probably saw me going like super impressed, staring at them for a few seconds before I realized I was being impolite and moved on. But uh, but but there was also a lot of people just walking by and seeing that as completely part of the norm, and that's what I think is cool, is
Yeah.
that it's more and more like that. So that's the part that excites me.
Yeah, there's
So yeah.
there's this like reactionary, it's easy to see like how like to think that things are getting worse, because like you see these uh what I call, I guess, reactionary movements that are trying to stop progress. Uh but I think things are getting better, and like every generation gets weirder, and they get more and more okay with weird, and that's good, because being normal is boring. And
I,
it's not really that it's boring, it's just like you don't want to impose normality
yeah.
and normalcy and normativity. It's just
Yeah.
it's great to that the normal is that everyone is everything they want to be, and that no one cares.
Yeah. The norm is a spectrum that needs to keep growing.
Yeah, exactly, until it encompasses everyone that is happy with everyone else.
Yeah.
The people that are not happy, they can fuck off. Fuck
Yeah.
right off.
I mean, that's a utopia right there, isn't it?
It sure is. And we're getting there.
Slowly but surely. Yeah. Yeah, there's a few resistance that will be crushed.
We will crush them.
We
Be
will crush
happy.
the rebellion.
Be happy with who you are, kids. Remember this. You
Yeah,
are. You are.
and don't feel pressured to figure it out right away. It it takes time, and it takes varying amounts of times depending on the person too. Some people have it figured out when they're 10, some people have it figured out when they're 60. Anything in between, above and below that, it's all part of it. So don't feel too much pressure. Just keep being you.
Yeah. But do feel pressure to subscribe and like
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
comment.
Yeah.
Do feel pressure for that because
Yeah, lots and lots of pressure
on,
cuz or
on,
else you're weird.
only cool people do it. So if you want to be cool, subscribe to the Dads After Dark channel. Dads After Wow, what the fuck was I saying?
You want to try that again?
Dads After Dark channel,
There you go.
please.
There you go.
And
Yes.
if you have
Not only
yes, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, not only do all the cool people do it, but all the not cool people are the only ones who don't. So
Yeah. So it makes you automatically uncool.
yeah,
What's even cooler is to tell us if you have any comments about this. Do you was it easy for you to find an identity? Are you still changing? Are you in a identity crisis and need help? Um, or have you it all figured out? Please let us know in the comments. And also, if you have any other questions or subjects you want us to tackle in later episodes, do let us know. And you can even write to us at our Dads After Dark channel at gmail.com, or follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, cool. I don't know about the
Twitter,
streaming of Facebook.
TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. We've got pages on all of those glorious social medias. They all have the same icon, the same logo. So if you find our logo, just look for it in the other platforms and send us a question, send us a comment, send us suggestions, and we'll be more than happy to hear from you.
Yes, and we will tackle them in the next episodes of Mantle BreakDads, the official Dads After Dark podcast. And see you next time, everybody.
Have a good night.
Bye. Stay hydrated.
Yes.
And love yourself just as much as I love you, which is a lot, unless you're a bigot, in which case I don't really like you.
There are some exceptions.